building a successful tax advisory practice, a live Q&A with leaders sharing their journey. So Angie's going to stay on, and we're going to bring on Jackie, John Sanchez, Meryl Taylor, and Angie together. So if everybody can come on screen. I know, John, you and Meryl have been, kind of waiting very patiently all day for this. So thank you. And really excited for this panel. And I think the big thing here, guys, is and who's okay, because we're a little bit over our time. We're only supposed to go to 4 o'clock Eastern, but who's okay if we go a little longer today, right? If you're going to get some great information from top tax advisory firms and planners sharing their best, giving their secrets, giving you their, everything you need to succeed, right? All right. So we've got a lot of people who are like, hey, I'll go a little bit longer for that, right? And that's what we want to do today. So just some quick introductions. We've already introduced Jackie and Angie, but John is the founder and the owner of John A. Sanchez and Company CPAs and Consultants. And Meryl is the founder and owner of Taylor Proactive Team. Now, both John and Meryl are incredible tax planning and advisory firms. They have done 6 figures and even more in revenues over the last year alone in tax planning. And Angie, of course, and Jackie with her experience. So I'm really excited to jump into this. I'm going to take the screen share off so we can see everybody that's on there. And I just want to jump in, guys. This is going to be kind of just a lot of fun, curiosity. Hey guys, if you have questions in the audience, you can put them in there. All right. I would say use the Q&A tab so we can distinguish from the chat as we go with this. But really, this is to open the kimono, right? So we've talked about everything today, from the marketing side to the why you need to be advisory, to the top clients to look at, to the top strategies to use, how to plan for, the tax law changes, all of that, right? So let's pull it all together now and talk about building that advisory practice. So John, I'm going to start with you, and I want to go through with everybody just a couple minutes, right? But talk to us a little bit about your firm. Like, what was it like before you switched to like tax planning and advisory? And what was it? What was the catalyst that made you finally decide to shift from compliance to tax planning? So John, we'll start with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. It's been a great day. Our journey kind of started back in 2016. I purchased a larger practice and was doing probably, I would say at that point in time, just under 700,000 in revenue, but it was virtually all of it was compliance, a lot of 1040 work. And I came out of that first tax season, and I just knew. My wife and I went away. We tried to get away after tax season, and I remember we're staying at this nice resort, and I remember looking out the window, this beautiful view. I just survived tax season. And I had this very bitter feeling. It's like there was a part of me that felt really proud I got through it. But then there was another part of me that thought, I don't ever want to go through that again. What am I doing? So it was several months kind of really diving deeper into, okay, what am I doing here? Looking at my client base, what's my average fee? And it was like a big light bulb. It's like I've got to do so much work just to pay the bills. This is insanity. And that was just the first step to my long journey of finding I need to shift away from just focusing on compliance and delivering more higher value services to clients that are going to clients are going to invest more, but it's also it's going to help me fish in a bigger pond, so to speak. Fast forward now, we're 5-6 years down the road of really this constantly evolving journey, and we're doing a ton of tax advisory, CFO advisory we're doing as well. We're kind of starting to marry the two together, probably putting packages together for clients. And the last 6 months alone, we've probably added something in the neighborhood of additional $70,000 in annual billings and additional fees. And then last week, met with the dentist client, quoted him a $25,000 tax plan, which I followed up with them yesterday or earlier today. They'll most likely be signing on as well. So it's really exciting because, and it's not just about our firm growing revenue and succeeding there, but it's really having more of an impact on clients' lives, right? You're saving them money, you're increasing wealth. As I like to tell my clients, it's like I've created wealth out of nowhere, just because we're being more impactful and more intentional about how we're approaching our tax planning. It's not just tax planning, it's tax strategy, and that's not a one and done thing. That's a constantly evolving conversation, relationship, collaborative with the client, and that's what clients are looking for.
Meryl, how about you?
Yeah, we were pretty similar. I've been CPA doing taxes for 20 years now, and so started with Ernst & Young, and then went and worked for a large firm, and then 10 years ago started my own firm. But then it was like just compliance based, and that's how we grew it. We did a really good job on the compliance base and helped to grow that. But the problem was that tax season became crazier and crazier and crazier, and harder and harder and harder. And so I've always kind of done tax planning generally, but not really charged much for it because I knew all the strategies, I knew all the stuff. I just didn't never felt comfortable or whatever charging for it. Typical CPA, I guess, in that vein. But this last year we had a lot of clients. We started getting to a lot of clients that were making a lot of money and having very significant tax bills. So Anton was on earlier with ERT, and so we've been working with ERT on some advanced strategies and working with some people over there. And that really accelerated our practice such that, we saw, you gave stats earlier that CPA firms usually see 11% growth. We saw 30% growth this last year, and it all came from tax planning. So, yeah.
That's awesome, Meryl. Now, Angie, you gave a little bit of your background, but was there a catalyst that really shifted it for you that made you go all in?
Yes, they laid me off. Could you believe that? For the first time in my career at 48, they told me I wasn't good enough. Somebody told me they didn't like me. All it takes is one bad manager, by the way. And I'm not owning anything because I didn't do anything wrong. It was just, we just didn't get along. So I'm out on my own. And then I tried to reinvent myself. And so I don't have a choice now. I did have another job fall into my lap, senior management in corporate audit. And I started doing that. I didn't even last 2 years because I already started my tax practice. I don't have a tax background, guys. I was always corporate audit, and I started doing taxes, and I'm like, okay, I can't do this mundane, repetitious volume stuff, especially with these crazy clients. So as I got through it, I started to say there has to be a better way. When I got better and better clients, you know that they need something. And so I started offering, just taking courses and figuring out what I can do better for them. Baby steps, start doing things and you're gonna impress yourself, and then now you're gonna transition. So it grew so much I had to quit. I think my husband's still not over it. He's like, you did what? So less than 2 years I gave up my 6-figure job, and I decided to go full-time into my practice because it was growing such that I could do that.
Awesome. And Jackie, I stole a little of your thunder before, but please, anything else you want to share about your shift?
Well, honestly, it's kind of similar to Angie. I was fired from the last CPA firm that I worked at before I started my own. But I didn't realize I was a natural entrepreneur. And then I started pretty traditionally, but I was always really intrigued with tax advisory. And then, hit kind of all the problems that traditional practice hits. And that's what really took me down the leading with tax advisory and changed my whole life. So.
We've got a ton of questions I see coming in on the chat. Jennifer, Georgia, you guys, please put them in the Q&A box because this chat just goes up and I may miss them. So please drop any questions for this panel in the Q&A box. So real quick, just along these lines, and I want to get to some of these questions that they're asking, I actually had too. But like when you did finally make that shift, was there fear there? Was that fear warranted once you actually made the switch? I see John, you nodded on your head.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about overcoming that because I think a lot of people out there kind of have that, right?
Yeah, I think that first year, I knew I had to do something. So my initial thought was I got to raise my rates. Like that's the default thing I needed to do, and it was real modest, but it was huge for the client base that I bought because there were such legacy clients, had been with the practice for a long time, and the practice was undercharging to begin with. And I remember that first year after the first tax season, we had clients leave that equated to about 60,000 in annual revenue. And I about went crazy. I thought, what am I going to do? But it forced me to make some decisions I needed to make anyway. But as I got a little bolder, 2 years down the road, realizing what I really need to do, how I really needed to restructure practice, is not just raising the rates, but delivering higher value services, and realizing for a lot of my client base, that's not what they need and looking for. And I realized I'm going to lose a lot more, but that's the only path forward. So again, like I said before, fast forward 5 years, our client base is close to a third of what it used to be, but our revenue is over 50% what it used to be. So we're working less. The last 3 tax seasons, hardly any overtime. It was as close to normal hours as any other time of the year. And that's not just good for me, it's good for my team, work-life balance, and there's no going back. Once you're on the other side of that, there's just no going back.
Mm-hmm. Meryl?
Yeah. What was that question? Sorry.
That's all right. Was there fear for you in
Fear,
making
right.
that switch, and was it warranted, once you actually made the switch?
Yeah. And there still is a lot of fear, to be honest. And we're still in that transition. Like, we finally saw that huge success coming from tax planning. And then we went through all of that, but still have like the traditional compliance. Like, we do, a lot of compliance work. And so tax season this last year was still kind of crazy toward the end of it. And for me, it was a really good comparison, because I just went through the tax planning season. We made more money in that than we make in tax season and worked less. And then I got into tax season, and then I couldn't help but feel like a complete moron, kind of, because I'm like, I just went through this tax planning season. I made so much money, only worked with like 15 clients and worked less. And then here I am killing myself to make even less money. Like, this doesn't not make sense. And so, yeah, there's still that fear. So now we're at the point of saying, okay, tax planning has worked for us. What's our next steps? And so that's what we're working on now. And there is absolute fear of, do I sell the clients and like try to go all in on tax planning? Do I hire another CPA just to take over the compliance and keep that as, so yeah, we're working through that piece. So I think that's what's come to me mostly through all this, is that a tax planning process is also a process you go through. It's not something you just wake up one day and suddenly you're a tax planner. It's like little by little you say, okay, today I'm going to do this piece of it. Okay, I've got that piece down. Now I'm going to add this piece. And so, and even with like strategies and stuff, like, to be honest, I've never done cash balance plans. I've never done those sorts of things, but I'm getting to the point now, it's like, okay, I think I can start adding that to my repertoire. And so we're going through a process of learning tax planning as we go through it.
Oh, that's really great. I think a lot of people are kind of like that's where they're going to get to if they start doing this, right? So, I think Jackie, you went through that. You ended up with about 60% less clients in the end. Like, how did you like decipher who to keep and who not to keep? And, I'm sure you had a little bit of fear when you went through this. Talk a little bit about that for yourself.
Sure. It was a lot easier because I'd hired a business coach that was very convincing that it was like, this is obviously not the way you need to keep going. And my pain had gotten so much bigger than the gain. I was literally pregnant with my second kid, and I signed the paperwork the morning of my C-section with him to sell that 60%, because I'd gone through so much pain through for having my first kid in that busy season. I couldn't fathom going through it again. So, yeah, the pain definitely was bigger than the gain of what was left. But I exported my client list from QBO from highest revenue client to lowest. That tends to match up some with best clients to worst clients. And then I just kind of went through and started labeling them like opportunity, not opportunity, opportunity. I didn't have TaxPlanIQ, which is going to show you all this bulk upload tax savings now, though. So I think that's super cool, because y'all can just throw your 1040s in there and see what your opportunities look like, right? But yeah, that's the manual way to do it. And then I was just like, I got to get out of this or else I was just in a really bad spot health-wise and whatnot. And so I just had to stop, you know?
Angie, anything for you on this?
I'm going to say you have to have fear. If you're doing something new and you don't have any fear, it means you don't care. Because ultimately, it's the quality of the work that you give out, right? So you have to have the fear so that you can go take the training, invest in yourself and the coaches and the software that you need. Enough of the copy paste. You know, when I started this, you know, of course, as a new business owner, you're like, oh, I can't afford everything. I get all that. But yet they're spending money on other foolishness. And I see people pay for courses, templates, degrees, XYZ letters, and then they still don't do the work because they're not recognizing where the value of where they should be putting their dollar, which is investing in better quality collaboration and networking events. So that's the part that you had to learn. Fear is going to get you kind of caring, but then you got to step off the ledge. All right, go out and try. The only way to learn is practice. You can read all the books you want. You can memorize the IRS codes if you want. That's not going to help you deliver better work. So you got to figure out where you want to spend your dollar and recognize where your trust is. And then you're going to get that back and it's going to squash that fear.
Wow, that's a great point. And a lot of times, well, fear is a great motivator in the right context. And in this context, if you have a little bit of fear in doing that, I would say that's actually a good sign. That shows you are making the right decision because this is a choice. This is a choice. It's about change, and change is not easy. Change has some unknown to it, right? It has that fear to it, but if where you're going it has bigger potential opportunity and a lot more gain than pain, right, Jackie? Then you know what? Use that fear to fuel it. Use that fear to kind of fuel that fire in you, right? It'll push you to get that first tax plan done, right? And I can tell you this, we see it, and I think you guys would all agree. And you know, that first one's once you get over that first one, it gets a lot easier, doesn't it? John, Meryl, I mean, it's like
Yeah,
the big sigh of relief, and man, then it's just on, right?
it's the old General Patton when they asked him if he ever had fear going into battle. He said, "Oh, of course I have, but I've also learned to never take counsel from my fears." So I find that a very inspirational thought when I feel I'm in that fear zone, right? It's like, this is probably the right decision to do. Just be very, very cautious and careful as you're moving forward. But the only other option is to stay where you're at, and you're going nowhere. So,
Meryl, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, very much the same. Like, I mean, starting a business to begin with is a huge step, right? Yeah, so that's kind of what I've noticed in like career is anytime that something has come up and been uncomfortable, there's always been a bigger payoff on the other side of it. And so the fear of it is mostly built up in my mind. It always has been, because you look at it and it's a big scary thing that's standing in front of you. But like you said, the first time you do a tax plan, or the first time you push through something, you get to the other side of it and you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. And then from there on, it's a lot easier and kind of roll. And not only that, but I would say, like, from my career and where I've come from, it's always like a mindset shift first, and then things have come later. Like, whenever I've moved on to something new, like my narrative of what I tell people of what I do changes first, and then the other side follows suit. So for years, I told people like I was a CPA, and I worked places, and then I changed to now I'm a business owner. Now I changed to I prepare taxes, and then it was, now I'm a tax planner for people. And so every time I've changed that mindset and explain that to people, I've always got a different response, and it's helped me move into that new identity easier than not. So yeah.
You make a really great point, and it strikes home with me. Jackie said in the beginning when she did that incredible intro for me, how I compete in endurance racing around the world, Ironman World Championships and that type of stuff. And at this point, like finishing an Ironman is not a big deal, but every single race I'm pushing to like get a minute faster or get one place better, like get to the top 2 or top 3 or whatever that is. And every single race, at some point in the race, my brain, my mind starts screaming at me, you got to slow down. You're going too fast, or you're not going to be able to keep up this pace, or whatever it is. And I have to literally will myself and retrain my mind to say, no, I'm in control and I'm going to do this and I'm going to keep going and do it. You win this in your mind before you win it, outside of that, right? It's the same, that's what it reminds me of, is because I have to win in my mind before I win on the course, right? So I think it's the same for us in business, right? We've got to win in our minds. And that's why I said earlier, like, you have to make a choice and then you got to make that commitment. You got to go and then you start acting, right? It's not going to be perfect. I think we'd all agree when you first made this choice and did this, none of it's perfect, right? You just like try something that doesn't work, try the next thing, and you just keep pushing in that direction. And so with that in mind, I want you guys to give some of your best tips, secrets, and tricks here. And what I really want, I think this crowd would really like to hear, and Jackie, I'm gonna start with you. Take us through your sales process. How do you sell a client? What does that look like? So, like, what are your key steps? What are the little secrets, things that they should know? So, Jackie, I'll start with you.
Sure. Well, like Angie was saying earlier, I always envision it's not sales, it's servitude. And it's important to always focus that on what you're doing for the client. It's not about you. And that's what helps me speak in front of large audiences. It helps me sell tax plans and do other uncomfortable things, because it's not about me, it's about them. And like, they're going to miss out on this without it. So what I would do is, we get a client inquiry, we do a pre-qualification from like my assistant or office manager.
What's involved in that pre-qualification?
Well, there's like 4 or 5 questions. They're actually in the questionnaire template in TaxPlanIQ now, but you're essentially just making sure that they're not going to be a PITA and that they qualify for tax planning. If someone owed 0 in taxes, there's not a whole lot you can save them in taxes. And I get asked that all the time. I'm like, yeah, no, there's nothing you can do. Sorry. So yeah, it's just kind of testing out their mental fortitude and how easy they're going to be to get along with. And then also the opportunities for planning. And then we ask for their last file 1040 and load it into TaxPlanIQ and produce that proposal and ask a few discovery questions if we need to follow up if they hadn't answered already, like how much cash flow they have towards planning or anything like that. And then we would go straight into a 1-hour Zoom to present the proposal and close the deal. And I would just show them the visual of the savings. I wouldn't get into all the details. It actually takes a lot less than an hour, depending on the personality type. And then you just ask them, like, how does this sound to you? And they're like, it's great. I'm like, okay, you want to move forward. So just find what that one closing line is for you that makes you comfortable. So many people just try to do a pitch and then not actually close the deal, which is just like lose-lose for everybody involved. So everyone knows why you're in the meeting. You want to work with this person. So just ask for the close. And then you go from there to onboard and implement and collect money up front, collect payment up front, and it's awesome.
You just said something that I think is unbelievably important, and everybody listening may not know this, but the overwhelming majority, even of salespeople out there, rarely, if ever, directly ask the client for the business.
Yeah.
They rarely, if ever, say, I want your business, or we want your business. Let's move forward together. Let's get started. That alone can make all the difference. So something to think about there. Angie, how about you? What's your process that you take people through?
A lot of my colleagues, unlike a lot of my colleagues, they charge for the strategy session. I have an open calendar. It's scheduled. It's nice. If they don't show up, which most do, if they don't show up, I get my hour back or half an hour back, whatever it is. And I'm okay with that too. Now, during that conversation, we're already kind of feeling each other out if we're a good fit or not. And I summarize in an email, and then I send them the intake form, which gets that information that I need to send the engagement letter. Now, a lot of people are already sold, believe it or not, because as I said, it's more about referrals at this point in my business. And they're finding me in directories like AICTP, and other business owners are referring me. So people already know, and it's very easy close at that point. You can ask, I see a lot of the members of my Executive Touch training program on here, and they're saying, I have actually had to add an earn while you learn now so that they can practice on my clients. And they got to be good because they're getting trained by us. And, we're helping them. We have weekly meetings. They can bring the questions, and now they're all doing planning, and I'm pushing them out there. And listen, if I ask you to work with one of my clients, I believe and trust in you. So that's how we've been doing it. And that's how I've been able to keep ahead of my pipeline.
So you've got to a point where it's all referrals for you for the most part, right?
Just
Which
about.
is, and how long did it take before you really started getting to a point where most of the new business coming to you was referrals?
I'm being very honest, less than a year.
Less than a year. Wow. Okay. All right. Meryl, how about you? What's your sales process that you take people through? How do you differentiate? Go ahead.
Yeah. I'd say we're probably similar to Angie, where we get a lot of referrals, but then, we have a good online presence. So we get a lot of local community and people coming in as well. Regardless of how they come, even referrals, because our problem with the referrals is doing the compliance. We get a lot of people that we just do a tax return for, and then they refer somebody, and it's like, oh, are they just expecting another tax return as well? So we've established more of a process where I used to take all the calls, but that's incredibly draining on me and my time. So I have an assistant that will do that initial call and just qualify them and make sure, because we've kind of gone back and forth, because it's like we really need tax returns to figure out if we can work with them. But nobody, when they send you an email, nobody wants to just send tax returns to somebody they've never met. And so we do just kind of an initial call just to qualify them, make sure that they're making the money, help them to understand that we're different. We're tax planners and not just tax preparation. And then if they meet all those qualifications, then that person that takes that initial call sends them a secure link to upload tax returns, and then a link to my calendar to schedule a time for a follow-up call.
What are some of those key qualification questions or pillars that you look for?
Yeah, usually business owner, or at least if they're W-2 making $500,000 or more, so that we can apply some more advanced strategies for them. And business owners, usually if they're say 100,000 or 200,000 or more, is who we like to work with, because then we can really provide some value and help them with that.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No problem.
And then
yeah. And then so once they're qualified and they get on a call with me, we got their tax returns. I can go through that. Show them some areas where they can save money on taxes. And then it's really kind of going through the TaxPlanIQ process of loading it in there, coming up with strategies, showing, here's where you've overpaid, here's where we can save you, and then here's the cost of working with us. And it makes it really easy that way.
Nice. John, your thoughts on how for everybody on how you do this?
Yeah, same thing here. We take a 2-meeting approach. That first meeting being, we have a whole slide deck, a presentation of explain what we are, what we're about, why we're different from most other firms. We're primarily an advisory firm. And I explain what I mean by that to the clients. And then I share some success stories. There's client A, saving 30 grand a year, client B, 70,000. So we have some testimonials as part of that slide deck. And then, once we're done, we answer any questions they have, and then we tell them what the next steps are. We're going to ask for a lot of information. We need tax returns, financial statements, and we're going to do an assessment. And I tell them all the time, I don't charge anything for it, and I should charge something for it, but I don't. But when I'm done with that assessment, I'll have a proposal to present to you. We'll meet again, go over it, answer any questions you might have. So that's the process we've followed. For this year, we did a couple of we're doing 2 different things. The first thing was to limit those meetings that were basically wastes of time. So I wanted a way to vet those prospects up front. So when we get those phone calls coming in, My admin fields those calls. We ask for their email and we send them a thank you for inquiring and a link to a questionnaire online that asks them key questions to vet them. And if they don't fit the right prospect, it kind of lets them know, sorry, we can't help you. We'd be more than happy to refer you to someone if you're interested. That's cut down a lot of those wasteful meetings. So by the time they answer the questions at the very minimum, then it gives them a link to book a meeting with me. So they only able to meet with me unless I know they're the right prospect based on the questions I put together. So that's one thing we're doing this year differently. And then
Great. Yeah, that's great. Go ahead.
the other thing is, so again, trying to think outside the box. We were working with a sales marketing company, and we came up with a kind of a plan, a $10,000 tax advisory plan. And so, you know, they have to meet certain conditions. Are they in, at a very minimum, are they in that 35% tax bracket? If they're at 35% tax bracket, I'm almost certain we're going to save them money. Almost certain. So I've sent videos to my sales guy. He kind of knows my sales process. He knows my slide deck. So he's learning too. So now the approach there is he's doing that first meeting with them. He's selling them and taking the deposit so that when they meet with me, we're doing an assessment and we're vetting that we're definitely going to be able to work together. But by the time they're meeting with me, they've already paid 25% of that annual fee up front. So now we brought on 4 new clients that way, and we're testing it out. You know, there's a lot of cost that comes with that, the sale commission, and you know, a significant amount of ad spend, because a lot of those leads are coming through Facebook ads. So I'm committed to a certain ad spend on Facebook. So we'll see how that goes. But so far, we've added 4 new clients, $40,000 of annual revenue. So we'll see how that works out.
Nice. Jackie, isn't that really kind of how you got to where you worked 4 hours a week? Is you trained people, and then they did a lot of that upfront work, and you just, you know, did the final kind of meeting stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So you guys remember we talked about scalable, repeatable. This is that stuff that's scalable and repeatable, right? I bet all of you guys have documented like SOPs for how you do this. I would bet, right? So it can be handed off to somebody. They can learn to do that. So that's how you get to be scalable and repeatable. So really, really awesome. And kind of to that topic, we've got a lot of people that are on this that are like, you know, maybe I'm new to this, or I've never done a tax plan before. I'm just getting started in my tax advisory journey. If you had to give an accelerated blueprint to offering advisory services in 30 to 60 days, what would be your best advice? Like, what would you teach? Maybe your top 5 things to help them do that. So whoever wants to start, I'll leave this one open. Go ahead, John.
Well, you know, this is probably gonna sound staged, but it really is not. TaxPlanIQ is gonna get you there, man. You're gonna be up and running so darn fast. And I use different strategies when I started my advisory journey, and you know, it was very slow, but you know, we were using a competing software, which we won't mention, and it worked okay for me at first, but it just got cumbersome. And looked back at TaxPlanIQ, and I thought, man, this is fantastic. And started playing around with it, and you know, I had tax plans put together in minutes. And you put that ROI pre-populated ROI report in front of the clients. I mean, it's doing all the work for you. You talk about scaling and putting processes that you can easily replicate to others. TaxPlanIQ is kind of gonna just about get you there, right? You can put that in front of an admin to help get the data together. And then you got, you know, the AI Jane. I haven't even messed around with that. That looks pretty slick. I mean, I haven't even utilized it to its fullest, but I can tell you, it puts you on the highway to get there fast. So it's really a no-brainer.
Oh, thank you. And I think we all see that, though. I mean, if you have a good software that can do a lot of that heavy lifting for you, can make your life easier, right? That's what we, you know, go for here. That's our mission. And I think, you know, you can look at across your business in different areas where you have different like things like that, you know, help accelerate that. How about you, Meryl? What's your 30, 60 day fast start blueprint?
Yeah, for us, we always tell clients and people, you know, it's really about 3 tiers. There's entity selection, deductions, and strategies. And so those are the three things we mainly look at. We first off make sure they've got the right entity, because that will save them the most tax up front generally if they need an S corp or something like that. Then we're making sure that they're getting all the right deductions. And that's actually, you know, kind of how John said, you know, where TaxPlanIQ comes in really handy, because, you know, I'm human and I'll forget things. And, you know, we'll go through an entire tax strategy and then we'll prepare a tax return the next year. And I'm like, why didn't we do Augusta? Why didn't we, like, where were these things? And if you use TaxPlanIQ that's recommending all that stuff, it's hard to forget the simple stuff that sometimes just, you know, goes out of your mind. And so that helps us with the deductions. And then, you know, we layer on strategies where we can. So, you know.
Well, that's great. Angie?
I gave you guys at the end of my presentation, if you look at the last page of the slide, when you get them, some homework. Very easy. Go through your client list. And by the way, you have great speakers on here. Connect with some of us, because we could coach you together. We can do a deal together. This way the client is paying and you share with your coach or your partner on a particular case. No way to learn and with practice and to follow someone who knows what they're doing. And then you don't have to pay for the software right away. Maybe you learn to use it through that person's subscription. So you're going to go through your book of business. You're going to find your high tax debt clients. You're going to set up strategy meetings, and you're going to close the case. You're going to close the deal. And then you're going to have your templates ready, because you're going to work with someone if you're not ready to purchase the tool. And then you're going to, because the tool's going to help you. I'm not going to lie. As soon as you do it, and I think somebody asked a question, they see that I was with AICTP or whatever. That's because you're learning. I'm a learner. And then eventually you look for a better thing. And when I landed on TaxPlanIQ, I said, okay, this is the thing. This is a thing, because it's simple enough where I can still think and manage my cases and have a tool to really help me produce a quality product that I could deliver to my client that looks good. Whew, like I sweated and I did this great thing, and they paid money for a deliverable that looks good. Okay. And that's what TaxPlanIQ does. You can literally do a few of these every month and be well taken care of in your life, right? Because you have to produce money, because you got to live, right? So you got to charge the right prices, and all of the backup is in TaxPlanIQ. And then you're going to make your first video, get out there. You can, you know, redact information and share, be the professional, be the expert, and then they're going to start coming.
Awesome. Awesome stuff. Jackie, 30, 60-day blueprint.
Okay. I have no idea what we're talking about at this point, because I've been
That's
talking
right.
about courage and heart in the
Yes,
chat.
I'm
apologize.
watching the chat. I'm going to address something here in a second in the chat, but go ahead. You guys are fired up. I love it. Keep it going. But yeah, what's your like fast start blueprint for somebody that's trying to get in and get started? What's the process? What should they do?
Pick one client. Pick one client. Go for it. Be honest with the client. I was very honest with the first client I went to. I was like, hey, you're going to be my guinea pig test client on doing tax planning. How does that sound? But it was someone that had supported me from the very first second I met them. I had found like a huge missed opportunity on their original tax return, charged very little for it back in like 2012. I knew he was a great advocate for me. And so as soon as I mentioned that, he's like, yeah, of course I want to do it. And then of course I put together this little piddly ROI in Excel showing like a barely 200% ROI. I ended up getting that guy like a 1900% ROI. And so it was like quite a lot of fun to do. But yeah, just pick one client, one prospect, one existing client. I'd pick someone that's one of your biggest raving fans if possible, and just do it. Just do it.
I mean, it comes back to that, right? It's just a choice. You got to take the action. Like so many things in your life, you know, all of you, you know, like those inflection points, those moments where you've taken the step out of the comfort zone, you've overcome the fear, and something great's happened. It's the same thing in this, right? All right. So, okay, we've covered all that. We talked about, you know, selling. We've talked about, you know, all that. Just real quick as an adjunct, any specific pricing model that you guys use or advocate? for how you do this? Because I know some have like 3 tiers, some use like just the ROI method the way that it is, or like what's the pricing model that you employ? Meryl, do you have a specific one that you do?
Yeah, we're working on kind of the lower ones, but for the higher ones, the clients that are 1 million plus that we're saving them a lot, the ROI method inside TaxPlanIQ is really good for that. I haven't been brave enough to use the full number that's in there, but we've still charged like, I think $50,000 for one of our tax plans.
Yes,
TaxPlanIQ was saying like 150 or something. Like, I'm not going to
I
go that
know
crazy.
it can get a little crazy, right? I mean, Meryl, I'm the same way. I've never charged more than 50 grand for a tax plan. But yeah, the ROI method will really push you forward, but that's okay. You don't have, it doesn't mean you have to use the number it suggests. It just gives you a little boost of extra confidence towards the number you want, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I would have never dreamed of charging that much. But then, yeah, when the ROI method comes back and you're looking at it like, oh, that is a really good ROI, but maybe I can charge 50, which is like 10 times more than I would have ever charged for anything. So it still got me to a good place. So yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna challenge you to go out of your comfort zone and try it. We had who we have on last year in this Amit, and he like charged like $350,000 for a tax
Oh
plan. We
yeah,
got a
he's
check
a
on the spot for
killer.
it. So I mean, it's possible. It's out there. Good stuff. John, how about you?
Yeah, we're a bit, we're a bit, trying to figure out what we want to do. We are primarily, I'm doing the ROI method, but for our 1040 only clients, we started with a three tier, bronze, silver, gold, bronze being just doing a tax return, which we actually want to move away from that. And this year, 2025, we officially stopped taking bronze clients. So you're either going to be silver or gold, and silver is some tax planning. That's going to be 2,500 a year, and then the gold is going to be 8,000 a year. So that's just for the 1040 only clients. But I got to mention, I don't know why I didn't think of saying this, but I've got what we call our two whales. Our client base is two whales, and these guys just make a ridiculous amount of money. They have a business that they're selling. They're each kind of combined, looking at a $10 million tax bill, but kind of working through some of the partners that we've learned in the world. You start getting the tax planning world, you start meeting a lot of different people out there that have tax plans that can really help your client. We're gonna save them the bulk of that $10 million, and that project alone, between our advisory fee and our referral fee, is going to be a 6-figure number for us this year. So that's going to be huge, and I can't say it enough. It just the tax plan IQ, the third party vendors that I've been introduced to, that has really opened up a whole bucket load of strategies that I didn't think I could help a lot of my high W2 clients, right? I've got clients that are very few, but I've got, $700,000, $800,000 clients that, they were just W2 clients. Like, what could I do for them? Well, I found some strategies I can do a lot for them, and, deliver huge value to them and great fees for us. So yeah, we're just going to continue down the value pricing road.
Do you guys prefer to like get paid all up front, or do you break it out over 12 months, make it like a recurring revenue stream? I know there's kind of the different thoughts on that.
That's a nice thing. I've gotten real brave. So yeah, we usually bill quarterly, but to sweeten the deal for those first clients, and then bring in a big bunch of cash flow, I'll offer them, hey, first time only, you want to come into the practice, 10% discount if you pay the first fee, the first year up front. I've had a lot of clients. I've been very surprised how many clients I've bid.
That's a great tip.
That's a nice big chunk of money coming in. And then they're on the renewal. You either put them on a quarterly, and sometimes they wind up coming to the end of the year and they need a big deduction. It's like, hey, pay next year's fees in full. And you get that deduction in for the year. So then they go on this. So now, my December, I've got this big chunk of money in the last 2 years that I get every December, because they're on this hamster wheel, because they need that deduction, right? So usually December is a dead month, cash flow wise. For me, it's just the opposite. It's a pretty high cash flow month for me.
Yeah, we see that a lot with tax planning, because you either can do it that way or quarterly or monthly. You can build kind of that recurring revenue stream instead of like make all of our money in a few months out of the year and then kind of live off of it the rest of the year, right? It does make it smooth things out. I see, Meryl, you're shaking your head on that too. Angie, How do you price things? And since they've volunteered, what's the biggest tax plan? What's the most you've ever gotten for a tax plan?
Oh, the most I've ever gotten is 35,000.
Okay.
I like the ROI method. The thing with me is that I still feel they may not, there's no guarantee that they're going to accept all and implement all the strategies. That's why I'm not 100% on the dollar amount as yet, but I do try to get there. I have 4 levels, mainly 3, like most, I'll do 7,500 like this. And in fact, I'm getting ready to raise it because I closed them too fast now. So then I do 12,500 and then I have 35,000. And if they're a PITA, I'm going to add a PITA fee. The most I've quoted was $100,000 and he didn't bite, but he's like, I was going to save him more than $1 million and he doesn't want to pay $100,000, go to hell. So, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But I mean to say,
Tell us how you really feel, Angie.
no, I'm just like, some of them I can now.
Stupid, right, Angie? It's just stupid.
Now I'm spotting the cheapies. They gotta go. Most people, honestly, the 7,500 ones are really grateful, and it's probably fair because they're not $1 million earners, but they're business owners who are growing and feel that I need something better, and they're firing their tax pro because they're not getting advising, and I find very easy to close those. And so I do that, and then as I said, they're referring now, and then we're going on to the next. If they're already generating $1 million, don't even come looking at me if you're not going to pay 35. As soon as they start nickel and diming, gotta go.
Yeah.
Then I'm half upfront. I tell them it's about 4 to 6 weeks before they get it, and then I collect the second half. There are some people out there, even if you save them $1 million, they will not be happy. And I rather refund half than the whole thing. So that's why I do half and half.
No, that's awesome. And then Jackie, anything, I know we've heard several models. You said the most you ever charged about 50 grand. Is that right?
Yeah. And we would offer a 5% discount for prepaying the year. And a lot of people took us up on that. I was so shocked, but it is such a nice little cash flow bump. And then otherwise, we would have like the one-time implementation fee, which is what I'm talking about, the 50K. And then we would always have a tied-on subscription monthly fee that goes on, indefinitely. So that was typically for like my high net wealth, small business executives. We kind of specialized in a handful of strategies for them. We tended to average around 15,000 a year. But they were really easy compliance clients after you got through that planning, and they were all very happy with the work. So
yeah, everybody out there, 50 grand up front and then 15 grand a year per client. What do you think? Not too bad, right? I think you can build a nice business that way. All right, I know we're going over on time. You guys are okay if we, it looks like a lot of you are hanging around. We got 300 plus, people that seem to be hanging around here. So if you're okay with, continuing a little bit further, you guys okay with going a little bit longer? Meryl, good? Angie, good? Okay. What are, what would you say is like 1 to 2 like other habits or anything or things that you do with clients that you feel have really made a difference in your success? So who would like to go first on that?
Me.
Okay. Go ahead, Jen.
Boundaries. So that email template I keep referencing in the chat and earlier in regards to it actually really confirms what Meryl said, which is like once you tell everybody else that you're a tax advisor, it's a lot easier to feel like you're a tax advisor, right? So just go send out that email to all your clients the end of today. Forget about the fear involved. They'll start reaching out to you left and right and super excited about the new offering. But you have to also redeclare like what is respectable and acceptable in your practice and what's not. And as accountants, we have some of the worst boundaries in any industry possible. You have got to set that stuff up front. And it's so much easier when you do. Like just tell people, I don't work after 5 p.m. or we'll respond to your emails within 24 hours. We probably won't have an answer, but we'll make sure and respond to them by then. Or if we don't get in the engagement letter, if we don't get your stuff 3-4 weeks in advance of a deadline, you will get automatically extended. they can't complain a year from now if you put that in the initial engagement letter. So put all of that stuff in your initial work, or just send out a new email series that's explaining their client experience has changed and it's going to be better for everybody. They will respect it. You'll have much better relationships with your clients and yourself.
Yeah.
Great stuff. All right, who wants to go next? 1 to 2 habits or things you do that really make the difference in your success with your clients.
I think for us early on was changing how we bill clients, not just the value, but we don't bill in arrears anymore. Everything's in advance. And that was, we got a lot of pushback and complaining from the clients. But like Angie, it was like, sorry, too bad. This is my business. And you get the business you settle for, right? And I wasn't going to settle for that anymore. And so yeah, we had a few onesie twosies that didn't like it and left. Fine, you know what? We're not a good fit. But this was years ago. Now it's, if they're not comfortable with that, it's, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, fine. Then we'll just probably not a good fit. It's resolved. I'm not nearly chasing down AR like I used to. It's helped our cash flow. It's simplified the admin side of everything. And so it might be a little thing, but it's a little big thing when it comes to running a practice.
You get the business you settle for. That may be one of the best quotes for, today out there. That was really good, John, because it's true. And it's like that for anything in life. You get the clients you settle for. You get the business you settle for, So when you up your level, the game of all of that, up levels too. So Meryl, how about you? What are your 1 to 2 things?
Yeah, 1 to 2 things that help with client success, you're saying, or?
Yeah, that really help with your success, differentiate you with clients.
Yeah. I'd say both of those, with the boundaries for sure. And setting how you operate rather than having clients kind of walk over you. And I'd say on our side, it's I'll go more into like a delivery status for ours, just making our clients feel that we're different, because the problem is, like most CPAs, like I've seen posts on LinkedIn and stuff like that where I'm trying to remember, it was like a while back ago where a selling point of a CPA was, we actually respond to you. And I'm like, that shouldn't be a selling point. That should be a given. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And so, yeah. So we'll talk to clients like that. Like, we see other CPAs say it's a selling point to respond. We feel like that's just a basic thing we should be doing. Like, we'll respond and take care of you, as needed. And so I think, client service and delivery, but with boundaries is important. Like, we'll go over and beyond to take care of our clients, but it's going to be on our timetable and when it makes sense to us. So, yeah.
Awesome. Angie?
100%. So it's worth it to reiterate that communication. You have to communicate, be crystal clear in what the tax plan is going to involve and how long it's going to take you to do it, and touch base. Clients love to talk about themselves. So I highly recommend a questionnaire at the very beginning, so they can say, oh, I want to do this, and my dream is to buy a vacation home and to do travel. Let them talk and tell you stuff. They'll feel like you heard them and your plan is customized around their goals. And the second thing is, I'm going to say this because it's the truth. A lot of us as practitioners are nickel and dimers as well. Like, you want to get these clients and charge big money and get all this, but you don't want to invest in the tool that is going to get you there. You nickel and dime your own vendors. I see it all the time. A CRM, a tax planning software, a tax tool. Everybody wants the cheapest way to do it. But you want to be a quality professional, you have to have quality products. You're an executive and you want to run a high level practice. You don't want to do copy paste. You don't want to be like, oh, cheap with your tools. It's going to, when you present that deliverable, it's not going to look top notch. You want to charge them $10,000 and you want to give them a $50 product. It's not going to work. That's my top explanations to you.
Awesome stuff. Awesome advice from all you guys. All right. We are at the end of our time. So parting wisdom, your last parting thought for the audience. You guys have seen everything we've done today in this incredible summit. We're at the end of it. John, I'll start with you. What is your parting thought or wisdom for this group?
This is the way. There's no other way. I mean, I don't know what else is going to have more impact, not just for your clients, but for your practice. This is the only way forward. You can't stay where you're at. We can't focus on compliance only. This has kind of brought more excitement into my practice, right? Nobody gets excited about doing a tax return. We do it here, we do it well, but I don't jump out of bed to do a 1040. But I do jump out of bed excited that I've got 2 whale clients that I literally saved them I'm going to save them $10 million in taxes. Man, I can ride that high for months. That's a huge win. And I was a part of that. And I feel blessed to say I was able to bless my clients that way. Everybody wins, everyone's happy, and I'm ready for the next one. Who else can I help? Who else can I help stop overpaying the IRS? That's what's making my job fun every day.
Meryl, how about you?
Yeah, I'd say on my side, it's really a plea to everyone on this call. Like, we need help. Like, people are overpaying taxes all over, and there's more people out there that need help than there are people that can help them. And so there's like 300 people on this call out of how many thousands of CPAs out there, and there's millions of clients that just need help. So like, it's kind of an army that I think Jackie and the team are recruiting for, of helping people really save money on taxes, right? So come join.
No, that's awesome. Thanks, Meryl. Angie?
Stop being selfish and hoarding all this great theory and keeping it in your brain. Like, what good is that? You can do this. Get out, break down that imposter syndrome with whatever you have to do. Practice, practice, practice. You get better. If you're going to make a mistake, that's okay. You're going to learn from it and you're going to move on. Take advantage of all the credits you have and credentials and degrees and templates and all the stuff you pay for. Come on, let's use it. Stop paying for more things. Except TaxPlanIQ.
Jackie, how about you? And actually include this as kind of your parting thoughts to the group. I've got one more thing for them before we let them go. So go ahead. What do you want to say about today?
Well, y'all heard me talking about this guy in my belly earlier, right? If you can't do it for you, do it for them. Because that's what drove me. I couldn't do it for myself, but I could do it for my family, which was important. I think that someone mentioned, I think Angie earlier, that you can take all the courses you want, or masters and doctorate, which guilty. But I think today we probably gave y'all way more resources than you'd ever get in any class in regards to a doctorate in tax planning. This is real life stuff that we're doing, and it changes lives. It changes our lives. It changes our families' lives. It changes our clients' lives. It's just really just fulfills all your purpose and passion in life. It's amazing. So I really, really hope that we've encouraged some of you to take that leap. You'll never look back. I've heard 0 times people say that they regretted this after they did it. It's 100% a win.
No, Jackie, that's awesome. And for my part, everyone, I really hope that you have enjoyed our time together today. We work really hard, and these amazing people put a lot of time and effort to give you all this content and everything. So I really hope that this hit the mark for you. I did see a lot of people. I made that comment earlier that for me, doing an Ironman is finishing an Ironman is not that big of a deal anymore, right? Well, guess what? When I started doing this, I couldn't swim 5 laps in a pool without being exhausted. Right? But I did 5, and then I did 6, and then I did 7, and I ran more than a mile, more than a couple miles. I got on a bike. I hadn't been on a bike in over a decade, and started trying to ride a bike. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. In fact, my first Ironman, I almost passed out because I didn't know anything about nutrition. I didn't have any salt or anything, and my body locked up. And I just kept learning and growing and getting better and better. And 6 years later, I'm actually faced with a new challenge. I'm competing in the Ironman World Championships in Nice, France this year. And about 8 weeks ago, I had a disc problem in my back that actually made it so bad and so painful, I couldn't walk for 3 weeks. I'm still coming back. I'm maybe 75% of what I was. And I'm just working every day to find a way to come back. It's like business. Like find a way, make a way, figure it out, right? But the mission's there. And if you want it bad enough and you make the choice, you can get it. And I think that's really what it comes down to for we've made the case. I think you guys get it. Advisory is the place to go. It's the choice, and then you just got to work at it. And it's not going to be perfect. Nothing's ever perfect, but it's worth it. You've heard everybody say what do you get out of this? You get a better life for you and your family. You get to help clients at a better level. You get to make a real difference. Maybe that means sending somebody's kid to college 5 years sooner or retiring 5 or 10 years sooner just because of your tax planning, right? And so you have that ability at your fingertips. You get to make that difference in people's lives. Not a lot of people get that chance. And so you guys have it. And, hopefully you've got a lot of takeaways to go out there and do it now. Don't be a stranger. If we can help you do it, whether you're a client or not, reach out to us. We'd be happy to help. And we really wish you the best in your tax planning and advisory journey.